Welcome to Carpool Karaoke with Joseph. Just kidding. Can you imagine if I turned this channel into a singing channel? So we are going for a little hike at a place I like to go to called Mount Bonnell. Today's topic is controversial, but I wanted to talk a little bit about politics. I feel like it's important to talk about some things politically, even though I usually avoid controversial things. First things first, as far as world politics go, I was shocked on one of my earlier videos when I posted about donating to the Sunflower Peace Organization. Because somebody commented and was like, you realize that Ukraine is full of Nazis, neo-Nazis, and that they're like terrible people. And I was just shocked that that was even something that was controversial. Like, that there was something that somebody, that anyone watching my channel believed that Russia was in the right at all. It was just surprising to me. But the good news is, I sent everybody's donations for my Patreon to the Sunflower Peace Organization today, and we were able to raise $100, which I am personally impressed with. I know that $100 isn't going to, I know that $100 isn't going to change the world, but one of my favorite quotes is from Oscar Wilde, and he says, "The smallest act of kindness has more worth than the greatest intention." You can have the best of intentions, but when you actually do something, that's when you really can make an impact. And I also don't think it's any of our jobs to change the world, but I feel like it is our job to make a difference. And that's something that we did together, is we made a difference. And I don't know, I'm really happy about it. So thank you guys. Anyways, there are some smaller issues, but still issues that are impacting a lot of people happening in our country. A lot of LGBTQ things happening in Texas and Florida and Utah. In my last video, I talked about how the over-sexualization of the LGBTQ community has caused a lot of issues, and I feel like the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida is a really good example of that. Because it's clear that people believe, so basically, if you don't know what it is, teachers and students can't talk about any sort of homosexual relationship in kindergarten through third grade. Like, students can't talk about their, gay uncle. Teachers can't talk about their husbands or wives back home if they're in a same-sex relationship or marriage. It's clear from this law that a lot of people believe that it's inherently more sexual to talk about your relationship if you're in a same-sex relationship, even though it shouldn't be. It shouldn't make a difference whether it's a same-sex relationship or not. If teachers were talking about anything sexual, I could understand a law being made prohibiting teachers from talking about that. In kindergarten through third grade, absolutely. But talking about relationships, specifically same-sex relationships, it's honestly laws like this that cause LGBTQ people to feel like people are trying to silence them. And that's why it's such a big deal. Is so many people in the world, the way that they want to deal with LGBTQ people is just to pretend like they don't exist. There are plenty of parents that won't watch movies or won't let their kids watch movies if there's a character that's even implied to be gay. That's just how a lot of people want to deal with what they believe is the LGBTQ problem. is they just want to pretend like we don't exist. Don't ask, don't tell is another good example of that. Anyways, it's a huge problem, and that's just one manifestation of that issue. The news in Utah is actually kind of good, but also a little bit bad. There's a bill that basically prohibits trans kids from joining in their high school sports teams. Specifically, trans women from joining in any sort of women's sports. And it was actually overturned by the Republican governor of Utah, which he did at a huge political risk to himself. Okay, I had to pull over for a second so I could read this to you guys. Basically, the Utah governor laid out some numbers for how many trans kids are actually playing high school sports. So he said there's 75,000 high school kids participating in high school sports in Utah. 4 of them are transgender. 1 of them is a student playing girls' sports. 86% of trans youth report suicidality. 56% of trans youth have attempted suicide. And then he goes on to say 4 kids and only 1 of them playing girls' sports. And that 1 person is who this bill would affect. Here's what all of this is about. 4 kids who aren't dominating or winning trophies or taking scholarships. 4 kids who are just trying to find some friends and feel like they're a part of something. 4 kids trying to get through each day. And then this is one of my favorite parts. He says, rarely has so much fear and anger been directed towards so few. He's vetoing this bill for that 1 person. When he breaks down these numbers, it shows just how wild it is that it's such a big deal to these lawmakers who have nothing to do with trans in high school sports. He says, I don't understand what they are going through or why they feel the way they do, talking about the trans youth. But I want them to live. And all the research shows that even a little acceptance and connection can reduce thoughts of suicide significantly. For that reason, as much as any other, I have taken this action in the hope that we can continue to work together to find a better way. If a veto override occurs, I hope we can work through ways to show these 4 kids that we love them and we have a place, and that they have a place in our state. So in this part of his address, he talks about how he recognizes that this politically could be the end of him. I recognize the political realities of my decision. Politically, it would be much easier and better for me to simply sign the bill. I've always tried to do what I feel is right, the right thing regardless of the consequences. Sometimes I don't get it right, and I do not fault those who disagree with me. But even if you disagree with me, I hope this letter helps you understand the reasons for my decision. Anyways, him putting his political career at stake for this 1 trans kid is mind-blowing and so inspirational for me. Especially from a straight conservative cis Republican man. He just has so much compassion, and I just have so much respect for him. So, and here's the bad news with Utah. So a bunch of Republican people got together and overrode his veto. So unfortunately, the trans bill did pass, and that 1 trans girl can't play on her high school basketball team or whatever. So, but the fact that the governor did that I hope, makes that 1 girl feel like she's loved and valued. Man, I gotta stop crying in my videos. This is ridiculous. Oh, we're back, and I just caught my $5,000 camera from breaking, so that's good. In Texas, pretty much what's happening is they're considering it child abuse if parents put their kids in gender-affirming care. So, but with that one, I heard you can't legally go after someone if they're doing it, actually. So I don't know the specifics with that one. The good news from that one is that there was a t-shirt campaign that sold thousands and thousands of these t-shirts that basically say, don't mess with our trans kids, and it's got the Texas flag on it or something like that. Anyways, I need to get this shirt, but it raised so much money for trans kids here, which is so awesome. As much understanding and acceptance as we have in the world, I feel like there will always be opposition and people fighting it, but the good news is there's always going to be support systems and people that will love and accept you regardless of who you are. You just got to find those groups. Anyways, I am almost to Mount Bonnell. Also, something that goes along with that is I watched the documentary on Mr. Rogers recently, and so much of what I've talked about applies in that movie. And I know that that isn't technically it's not technically an LGBTQ movie, but it really kind of is. It's so good, and you guys should watch it if you haven't. It's on HBO Max. My parents were the ones that recommended it to me, and they got it from the library, so. All right, well, I'm gonna end the video with some views for you guys. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and if you wanna support this channel, I'm going to be doing a BuzzFeed quiz on the exact percentage of how gay I am over on my Patreon page. I have my suspicions that it's gonna be pretty high. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Honestly, that right there is perfect. Thank you so much.
Sure.